Metals are ordered in the reactivity series according to how reactive they are. A more reactive metal will displace a less reactive metal from a compound of the less reactive metal. This is known as a displacement reaction.
For example, magnesium is more reactive than copper. If a strip of magnesium metal is placed into a solution of copper sulfate, then the following displacement reaction would take place. Magnesium plus copper sulfate gives magnesium sulfate plus copper.
So what would you see? Well, you'd observe the magnesium strip turning brown. Copper is being formed as it is pushed out of the solution. That's not the only change. Copper sulfate solution is blue. It will begin to turn colourless as copper is lost from the solution and magnesium sulfate forms. Magnesium sulfate is colourless.
You can carry out reactions between metals and metal salt solutions to work out the order of reactivity of metals. To decide the order of reactivity of 4 different metals, zinc, magnesium, copper and iron, you can use a dimple tile with 16 dimples. Place 4 small pieces of each metal into each of the columns. For example, you might have zinc in the 4 dimples of the first column. This is repeated for each of the metals.
You will also need salt solutions for each of the metals: zinc sulfate, magnesium sulfate, copper 2 sulfate and iron 2 sulfate. Wearing eye protection, use a disposable pipette to place a few drops of zinc sulfate solution into the dimples in the first row. That's the horizontal line of dimples.
Watch carefully for any colour changes to the metal and solutions. If you see a colour change, this means that a displacement reaction has taken place. Some solutions are slightly acidic, so bubbles of hydrogen might be seen. Remember, this doesn't count as evidence for a displacement reaction. You are only looking for a colour change.
You can record your results in a table using a tick if a reaction took place and a cross if it didn't. Design your results table so the columns and rows are the same as the dimple tray. Add the different salt solutions to each row and record your observations. Remember to use a different pipette for each solution.
You can now order the metals, putting the most reactive first. This is easy to spot. The most reactive metal is the one with the most ticks in the results table. This is because it displaced the most metals from their salt solutions.
It's worth noting that you can also carry out this investigation using test tubes. For this, you place the pieces of metals in 4 different test tubes and add a small amount of one salt solution to each of the test tubes. You will need to wash out the test tubes to reuse them to test the next salt solution. However, the advantages of using the dimple tray is that you do not need to wash it until the end, the amounts of salt solution you need to use are small, and the results are clearly displayed.